The following program contains graphic descriptions of violence and may include disturbing content. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome to another compelling episode of Evil Exposed Killers. I'm Charles, your guide into the unsettling and hidden truths of our world. Tonight we delve into the chilling case of Marybeth Tinning, a woman whose life seemed ordinary but concealed a nightmarish reality. Known for the deaths of her 9 children, Tinning's story is one of manipulation, cruelty, and unspeakable horror. Join me as we uncover the disturbing details of her case and the events that led to her shocking downfall. Marybeth Tinning. Marybeth Tinning was born on January 11, 1942, in Schroon Lake, New York. Her early life was marked by hardship, and she grew up in an environment fraught with instability and financial strain. Despite these challenges, Marybeth appeared to build a stable life when she married Joseph Tinning in 1960, and the couple settled in Amsterdam, New York. Their marriage seemed promising, and they started a family, but what appeared to be a normal suburban life soon descended into a series of horrifying tragedies. Marybeth gave birth to 9 children over the years, and each child's death was marked by a series of suspicious and tragic circumstances. Their first child, Jennifer, was born in 1972. As a newborn, she seemed to thrive initially, but at just over a month old, Jennifer's death was ruled as sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS. The official cause of death was a result of the child's inability to breathe, but the first cracks in the seemingly ordinary life of the Tinnings began to show. In 1974, Marybeth gave birth to a son, Joseph Jr. Like his older sister, Joseph Jr.'s death was attributed to natural causes. He was found lifeless in his crib, and the coroner attributed his death to a sudden respiratory failure. There were no immediate signs of foul play, but the pattern of unexplained deaths was beginning to form. Heather, born in 1976, followed a similar tragic path. She was found dead in her crib at the age of 6 months. The autopsy suggested she had died from sudden infant death syndrome. However, inconsistencies in Marybeth's accounts and the repeated nature of these deaths started to raise concerns. Michael's birth in 1978 was followed by his death just 2 years later. He was discovered unresponsive in his crib, and while the official cause was listed as SIDS, he displayed symptoms that were inconsistent with the previous deaths. Michael's death was initially overlooked due to its similarity to earlier cases. Sarah's birth in 1980 was marked by a similar pattern of tragedy. At 18 months old, Sarah was found dead in her bed, with the official cause of death listed as an undetermined illness. The repeated nature of such unexplained deaths began to weigh heavily on those who investigated these cases. By 1983, Marybeth gave birth to her 8th child, Tammy Lynn. The death of Tammy Lynn was particularly alarming. She was found with signs of severe respiratory distress, and an initial autopsy attributed her death to sudden infant death syndrome. However, the accumulation of child deaths led to increased scrutiny. The birth of Marybeth's 9th child, also named Tammy Lynn, in 1985, brought about the final and most tragic chapter of this story. This child's death was marked by significant irregularities. Tammy Lynn displayed symptoms consistent with poisoning before her death. Subsequent investigations revealed the presence of toxic substances in her system. This was the crucial breakthrough that led to the unraveling of Marybeth's horrifying secret. The deaths of these 9 children, each marked by a pattern of unexplained and tragic circumstances, began to paint a clearer picture of a deeply disturbing reality. The community and authorities struggled to make sense of the repeated losses, with each death seemingly following a similar pattern. The case began to take a darker turn with the death of Marybeth's 8th child, Tammy Lynn, in 1983. While initial autopsies attributed her death to sudden infant death syndrome, SIDs, the mounting pattern of deaths within the Tinning household drew increased scrutiny. The medical community and local authorities started to question the frequency and similarity of these tragedies. Tammy Lynn's death was particularly alarming. She was found lifeless in her crib, exhibiting symptoms of severe respiratory distress prior to her passing. The initial examination revealed no immediate signs of external trauma or poisoning, so the official cause of death was ruled as SEDs. However, given the history of unexplained deaths, the circumstances surrounding Tammy Lynn's death were subjected to a more rigorous investigation. The breakthrough came with the discovery of toxic substances in Tammy Lynn's system. The presence of these poisons suggested deliberate harm, not a natural cause. This revelation was pivotal in shifting the investigation from one of unexplained deaths to one of potential foul play. Authorities began to focus intensely on Marybeth Tinning, whose behavior and explanations now seemed increasingly suspect. As the investigation deepened, detectives and forensic experts revisited the cases of the other children. They examined medical records, re-interviewed family members, and scrutinized the circumstances surrounding each death. It became evident that the pattern of deaths was not merely coincidental, but indicative of a disturbing and deliberate strategy. Marybeth's explanations for her children's deaths were inconsistent and contradictory. In interviews, she would provide varying accounts of the symptoms and circumstances leading up to each child's death. For example, she claimed that Jennifer's death was due to unexplained respiratory issues, while describing Michael's passing as the result of a sudden illness. These discrepancies raised red flags for investigators who were piecing together the broader picture. One key aspect of the investigation was the examination of the household environment. Authorities found no evidence of physical abuse or environmental hazards that could explain the repeated deaths. This lack of external causes led them to suspect internal factors, such as poisoning. The focus shifted to Marybeth's role in the household and her interactions with the children. During the investigation, Marybeth's behavior was closely observed. She exhibited a concerning level of calmness and detachment in the face of her children's deaths. Her responses to questions about the deaths were often dispassionate and unemotional, further fueling suspicions. Forensic experts noted that her demeanor was inconsistent with the expected grief of a parent losing multiple children. The turning point in the case was the arrest of Marybeth Tinning in 1986. This decision was driven by the mounting evidence of her involvement in her children's deaths. The toxicological analysis, combined with the pattern of deaths and Marybeth's inconsistent statements, provided a strong case for her guilt. Marybeth was charged with the murder of her 9th child, Tammy Lynn, as the evidence for this particular death was the most compelling. The toxic substances found in Tammy Lynn's system were a crucial piece of evidence that led to her arrest. The charges were followed by a broader investigation into the deaths of her other children, revealing a pattern of deliberate harm. As Marybeth faced legal proceedings, the case garnered significant media attention. The community was shocked by the revelations, and the true extent of Marybeth Tinning's actions began to emerge. The case became a sobering reminder of the darkness that can lie behind closed doors and the importance of vigilance in detecting patterns of abuse. Marybeth Tinning's trial began to unfold, exposing the harrowing details of her crimes and the extensive investigation that brought her to justice. With the mounting evidence against her, the case captivated public attention and revealed the full extent of her heinous actions. During the trial, the prosecution presented a compelling case, highlighting the disturbing pattern of deaths within the Tinning family. They emphasized the recurring nature of the children's deaths and the growing suspicion around Marybeth. The toxicological reports were central to the prosecution's argument. Experts testified that the presence of poisons in Tammy Lynn's system indicated deliberate harm, not an unfortunate coincidence. These findings played a crucial role in establishing a motive and method behind the deaths. Marybeth's defense attempted to portray her as a grieving mother who was the victim of tragic coincidences. They argued that the repeated deaths could be attributed to natural causes and that Marybeth's behavior, while unusual, did not prove her guilt. However, the prosecution countered these claims with evidence of Marybeth's inconsistent statements and the troubling patterns in her explanations. One of the key witnesses was Dr. Michael Swango, a forensic pathologist who had examined the children's bodies. Dr. Swango detailed the signs of poisoning found in Tammy Lynn and described the discrepancies between Marybeth's accounts and the medical evidence. His testimony was instrumental in illustrating the premeditated nature of the crimes. The defense's strategy included attempts to discredit the prosecution's evidence and suggest alternative explanations for the deaths. They raised doubts about the accuracy of the toxicological reports and questioned the reliability of the forensic experts. Despite these efforts, the overwhelming evidence presented by the prosecution made it increasingly difficult for the defense to mount a convincing argument. Marybeth's own testimony added another layer of complexity to the case. Throughout the trial, her demeanor remained notably calm and detached, even as she recounted the tragic events. This lack of emotional response was noted by many and contributed to the perception of her guilt. The contrast between her stoic demeanor and the grief typically expected from a parent in her situation only fueled the prosecution's narrative. The trial also revealed the impact of Marybeth's actions on the community. Family members, friends, and neighbors testified about their shock and disbelief upon learning the full extent of the tragedy. They described Marybeth as a woman who appeared to lead a normal life, masking the horrific reality behind closed doors. As the trial reached its conclusion, the jury deliberated on the charges against Marybeth. The evidence of deliberate harm, combined with the pattern of deaths and Marybeth's inconsistent explanations, led to a conviction. Marybeth Tinning was found guilty of the murder of her 9th child, Tammy Lynn, and was subsequently sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The case left a lasting impact on the community and the field of criminal justice. It highlighted the importance of thorough investigations and the need for vigilance in recognizing patterns of abuse. Marybeth's story became a cautionary tale about the darkness that can lie behind seemingly ordinary lives and the devastating hidden evil. In the aftermath of the trial, the focus shifted to understanding how such a series of tragedies could go undetected for so long. The case prompted discussions about improving systems for monitoring child welfare and recognizing signs of potential abuse. It also served as a stark reminder of the importance of community awareness and the need for vigilance in safeguarding vulnerable individuals. Marybeth Tinning's case remains one of the most chilling examples of familial horror, revealing the depths of human cruelty and the challenges of uncovering such hidden malevolence. As we conclude this examination of her story, it is a sobering reminder of the vigilance required to protect our loved ones and the importance of remaining aware of the darker aspects of human nature. As we wrap up tonight's examination of Marybeth Tinning's disturbing case, we reflect on the profound impact of her actions and the importance of vigilance in safeguarding our loved ones. Her story serves as a sobering reminder of the hidden horrors that can lurk behind seemingly normal facades. Thank you for joining us as we explored this unsettling tale. If you found this episode insightful, please like and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth investigations into the world's most chilling criminal cases. Stay aware, stay safe, and until next time, keep questioning the shadows around us.